An effective logo is a flexible logo. A logo design which isn't going to be used solely on the web should be designed in a manner so that it can be formed from almost any material and applied almost anywhere. A logo might be formed out of metal or plastic shapes, as one example, to form a shopfront sign. Alternatively, it might be cut out of vinyl for application on vehicles. The text and font we use in a logo design shouldn't be an afterthought. The lettering we use becomes a prominent part of the brand. Therefore, it's not only important that the text is readable, but it's also crucial that the logo, the text specifically, can be applied almost anywhere. This is achieved by maintaining simplicity in form. We achieve simplicity by selecting a font which utilises solid shapes for the text characters. There may be situations where we're asked to design a logo with a texture. A vintage logo design, for instance, which has a texture to depict an aged look. This represents but one exception which we should consider, but still logos of this nature end up overly complex and can pose application problems. Our safe bet for legibility, therefore, and application flexibility is to utilise a font which has solid, untextured characters. So let's go ahead and take a look at 3 fonts as an example. Now the first looks relatively nice, it's legible, and upon first glance, particularly if it's small, the characters appear to look solid. If, however, we zoom in, we can see that there's swirls inside of each character. Now you'll see the problem here. If we highlight this font and we go to type and we go to create outlines to create shapes from the characters, you'll see that all of these dots, which are anchor points, are marking positions of this texture which is applied to the lettering. Now, this makes it not only over complex to work with in Illustrator, it makes application considerably more difficult. These characters would actually have to be transformed into solid characters because all of these shapes, these swirl shapes, could not be recreated, for instance, to make a shop sign out of any form of material. Now you'll see we also have the same problem for the next font in a slightly different form. This one has lines, as you'll see here. Now if I go to highlight the text and I go to type and create outlines once again, you'll see all those anchor points and all those paths. Now those are generally unnecessary, and again it's making the graphic more difficult to work with in Illustrator, and most importantly it makes the application process nigh on impossible. So what we want to aim for is solid characters in the font set. Now if we take a look at this, as you'll see as the text suggests, this is suitable detail. Now if we select this and we go to type, create outlines, and we zoom in, you'll see that we only have the anchor points on certain points of the outside of each character to define corners and curves. And as you can see, just by merely glancing, all of these characters are solid shapes. So because we only have clearly defined solid shapes, the text is flexible and the application process is made simple. These characters can be cut from any material and applied almost anywhere. So if we aren't designing a vintage logo or any logo which demands a texture, it's important that we select a font which is composed of solid, non-textured characters. Following this rule of thumb, we develop a logo which is not only suitable on screen or on paper, but literally anywhere in the material world.